floor is yours.
Thank you, Sam, and it's good to be with you all tonight with a group that I consider folks who are basically like family. As many of you guys know, Prince William is like a second home to me. I intelligently married a Prince William girl. My in-laws live in Triangle, and so I feel like I spend more time in Triangle than anywhere else at this point. I might as well pay taxes to fund Chairman Latif's school system. But it's great to be with you. Thank you all for doing this. And I, like you, I'm feeling the pain of what's happening in Washington. To a T, every person around Virginia, it doesn't matter where you live, who you pray to, or what you look like, is feeling the insecurity of what the Trump administration is doing and what the unelected co-president Elon Musk is trying to do to the things that we know and the things that we hold dear. For me, my mother-in-law, who again lives in Triangle, is a 30-year government employee. She's worked for the SEC and has dutifully put in her time and is just a few years away from retirement. And now every Friday, she's got to send Elon Musk an email telling him what she did last week, not because she wants to, but because she has to for survival. And people shouldn't have to live like that. Now, we have an attorney general who refuses to step up and fight for us. There are Democratic attorneys general who are suing the federal government to stop all of this craziness, to make sure that people are protected. And time again, over the last 3 months, Jason Miyares has demonstrated that he is nothing more than Donald Trump's pro bono attorney. Virginia deserves an attorney general who's going to step up and fight for those folks and fight for people and fight for families. And I know I'm that person. I served in the legislature. We did tremendous things. We expanded Medicaid, increased teacher pay, raised the minimum wage, because as my mentor and friend Ralph Northam will tell you, when Democrats are in charge, good things happen. I've served as an assistant attorney general for the District of Columbia doing consumer protection, which is exactly what the Virginia Attorney General's office should have been doing for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, we've got a guy who just pursues a partisan political agenda, but we should be going after the big banks, the big tech companies, the slumlords, the ghost gun manufacturers who make us all less safe and less secure. When I was in the DCAG's office, we sued Polymer 80, who was the largest ghost gun manufacturer in the country, brought them to their knees, because when you have thoughtful leadership at the top, you can get results. And for the last few years, I've been in the private sector, litigating against Jason Miyares and Glenn Youngkin, representing folks like the Virginia State Conference of the NAACP and Reverend Bailey against the administration, fighting and vindicating for rights that are important to us. We sued the administration over the restoration of voting rights database to get access to the information there, to put that out into the public, because we deserve to know what's going in there. And guess what, folks? We've had success against these guys in the courtroom, and now we get to go beat them at the ballot box. I am so proud to be endorsed by folks like Governor Northam, Governor McAuliffe, your congressmen, Suhas Subramaniam and Eugene Vindman, State Senator Jeremy McPike, delegates Maldonado, King, Sewell, Thomas, Delegate Torian, and 5 members of the Board of Supervisors, because they are united in the belief that we are best poised to go beat Jason Miyares in the fall. They know that we'll use the office to go after the price gougers who are raising prices indiscriminately, to go after the pharmaceutical companies who are raising the prices of prescription drugs when it's getting tough for people, to go after the corporate landlords who are making it impossible for people to put a roof over their heads. We can do great things here in Virginia, and we are ready to go do it. It's going to be a competitive election. Elon Musk is coming. We saw in Wisconsin that he is ready to dump a lot of money in to preserve their cause, and this is their opportunity to preserve their rubber stamps. But I'm here to tell you, it's going to be a big year for us in Virginia. We're going to get the governor's mansion back with Abigail Spanberger. We're going to get the gavel back in the Senate. We're going to go beat Jason, and we're going to grow our majority in the House of Delegates. But I can only do that, and we can only do that with your help. And so I'm asking for your support in this Democratic primary. As you know, early voting starts on May 2nd. I was proud to support the Virginia Voting Rights Act that created 45 days of early voting, because we are the party of the franchise, and we are the party that respects people's access to the ballot box. And as Attorney General, I will always protect people's right to vote as well. So again, with that, it's great to see my Prince William friends, my Prince William family, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have tonight.
All right, Jake, so let's just go and jump right on into it. Are you willing to sue the federal government to protect voting rights, recipients of Medicaid and Medicare, and other rights and entitlements being challenged?
Absolutely. On day one, we will join the lawsuits that the Democratic attorneys general have already put up so that we can avail ourselves of those benefits. Most people do not realize that when Virginia doesn't participate in those lawsuits, we don't get the benefits of the decisions. And so we don't get any protections for our federal workers. We don't get any protections for any federal funding cuts that may come down the pipe. That's what we have not gotten with Jason Miyares for the last 3 years. But with me, you'll get it. And then we get to go on offense. Virginia sits in the Fourth Circuit. And this is important for a couple of reasons. One, it is a place that's got favorable judges and favorable case precedent and a favorable opportunity for us to go on offense against Donald Trump. And the Democratic attorneys general are very excited about getting Virginia back into the blue column because we will then be the standard bearer at the front of the line, making sure that Donald Trump knows that he can't mess with us. It's time for us to get tough. It's time for us to get a fighter in that office, not someone who's just going to be a rubber stamp, not someone who's just going to check the box and say, hey, I'm here and I want you to go ahead and do your thing. That's not what you're going to get with me. We're going to be at the front of the line, making sure we preserve the things that are important and integral to our way of life. As a delegate, I was proud to support the expansion of Medicaid. It was the most consequential vote that I've ever taken. And I promise you that I will do everything I can in my power to protect and preserve access to people's health care across Virginia and across this country.
Okay. In the last General Assembly session, legislation fully funding prosecutors and public defenders across the state of Virginia was introduced in the House and the Senate and failed in appropriations. The bill has broad bipartisan support, including groups such as the NAACP and the Virginia Association of Chief of Police. Do you support the access of a justice bill, and what will you do to ensure its passage in the next General Assembly? Or if you oppose it, why?
No, I support the Access to Justice Act. I think that this is a necessary measure, a long overdue measure. There's got to be fairness in our system, and we want to make sure that people have access to excellent representation. And it makes me very, very disappointed to see people who have stood up and opposed that. We are in I'd say one of the bottom half or in the bottom half in the country as it relates to how people rate our ability to have adequate criminal defense here in this Commonwealth. And that would be a huge measure for us. As someone who's represented the Virginia NAACP on many occasions, I stand with them and support the legislation that they're championing, and will use the Attorney General's office as a bully pulpit to help get that through. And God willing, with Abigail Spanberger as our next governor, she'll sign that bill, and then we get to go ahead and hit and get off to the races. And so, again, I've always been a supporter of justice. I've always been a supporter of access to justice. I know Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano from Fairfax was very involved in pushing that measure, and I'm proud to have his support. And I'll always work with folks like him to make sure that our justice system is fair to every single person.
All right. How do you plan to fight voter disenfranchisement and voter suppression?
Well, look, the Virginia Attorney General's office has a voter protection unit, an election integrity unit. I actually proposed that 4 years ago. It was created and then it was hollowed out. Jason Miyares fired everybody. And I can tell you guys with absolute certainty that it has nothing in it going on in it right now, because when we represented the Virginia NAACP, we FOIA'd the office, and guess how many documents they returned to us? Zero. Not a single attorney is assigned there. Not a single person is doing any work there. And that is a shame. This is a place that I consider to be the birthplace of democracy, and voting is in our blood, and it is our God-given right under the Constitution. And I stand before you, or sit before you, as someone who sits across the dinner table from people who were denied the right to vote just because of the color of their skin. I was proud to vote for the Virginia Voting Rights Act, which made it much easier to vote here in Virginia. We went from the 39th hardest state to vote to the 12th easiest. And I cannot wait to be your next Attorney General to fully staff our voter protection and election integrity unit so that people don't have to be worried about getting harassed when they go vote, so that poll workers don't have to feel fear when they're doing their job. This is something that is a basic and critical piece of our elections. And the Attorney General is supposed to step up and not shirk their responsibilities like Jason Miyares has. I actually wrote an op-ed about this a couple of years ago because registrars were complaining about their fear of intimidation and harassment as well. So when people can't do their jobs, our elections can't be administered properly. And it's on the Attorney General to step up and fight to protect people. And I will always do that. And working with the NAACP, fighting for voting rights, pushing back on the SAVE Act, which is a backwards piece of legislation. All of these things are on the table and at stake in our elections. And that's why I know I'm best positioned to go and fight for us as your next Attorney General.
All right. How do you intend to stand up to the administration's cruel policies with regard to immigration and lack of due process?
Well, immigration is personal to me. My wife, who is a Prince William girl, is an immigrant herself. My in-laws are immigrants. And so every time you hear stories on the news about what's happening with this administration and how they're treating people, it breaks my heart. And so I know that we have to hold this administration accountable. We want to make sure that we are getting clear instructions, not just from the federal government, but from the state government, and working with our law enforcement officers to give them the support they need and make sure that they